This grief brings so many different emotions. It's so healthy to acknowledge every single emotion and feeling that you've got, because they all deserve a space at your table. I've heard the expression, you've got one life. No, we have many lives, but we only die once. Yeah. So I think while we're here, it is about living and living well. And not being afraid of our emotions, not running away from them. I think so often we punish ourselves or we punish other people for showing emotion. And I think it's really time now to let your emotions flow. It's normal, it's okay.
Welcome to the podcast, and it's great to have you back for your second interview. And this now, we've talked about your life experience, about you and about what you do. But today I want to really unpick about how we help people who are struggling. And what I'm learning is that everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
It's about, are they ready to talk about it? Do they want to talk about it? And if they don't, actually, we might be able to give them a few things to help them move forwards and how to deal with this stuff. We were just saying, there's not a magic tablet to make pain go away and grief go away. So it's about what information you can give us today to help people actually from a practical point. So let's look at the months after someone has died.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to them during those early days to help them move forward, to step forward?
I always say support rather than help, because they're not broken, they're just grieving. And as we know, grief is not an easy place to be. So I think it's really, really important that people feel, people, when their loved one dies, they feel very unsupported. Well, there is the support there initially, but they do feel that people don't care, people don't get them, people don't understand, which largely is true because we live in a grief-literate society. And all that they want to do is just talk about their loved one. And I think it's important for us is to hold space and just to be there and allow them to talk. Don't try and fix them. And, grieving people, they need permission to feel and to fall apart and to get messy. And it's ugly because they're trying to make sense of where they are and what's just happened. And if I think about the first year when Lucas died, I really didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I couldn't even focus on a book to try and read, to try and get me through, because the words would just bounce up. I couldn't see them. So I think it's important just to be there, sit with them and allow them to feel the discomfort without trying to change it. And allow them to feel each and every emotion that presents itself.
So holding space, which makes complete sense. And by holding space, that gives them time to acknowledge and accept and move forwards. But then for people, just Joe Blogs, who has no background information on bereavement and death and grief, and obviously we've spoken a lot about the campaign to add content into the curriculum because of our culture, what language can people use and communication techniques can they use to actually help them hold space? Because some people find it very difficult to sit in silence. What do you think?
Holding space or witnessing grief is just to be there, isn't it? To be silent. And it's really hard. Sit on your hands. Yeah. But it's really, really hard just to do that. People don't want to be fixed. They just want to know that other people are there for them. So I really do think as a culture, as a community, we just pause and listen and let that person speak, cry, or say nothing. They might not want to talk because they don't have the words to express how they're feeling, where they are, and, you know, what's just happened to them. So I think it's really important that we just pause. As long as that person knows that you're there for them. Not just leading up to the funeral or after the funeral or the burial or cremation, whatever, but the weeks, the months afterwards, that's when it really hits you, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when you really need the support. And it's just knowing that that person's there, a text, a phone call, popping round with, you know, if you're in deep grief, you don't have the whereabouts to take your dog for a walk if you have a pet. So just to go round and walk that dog for someone, just to go round and leave a bag of shopping on the front porch, or take that shopping in, cook a meal for them, you know, cook something, leave it, because you don't always want to speak to people because you're trying to figure it out. You're really trying to figure out where you are, who you are now, and where you're going, because, you know, I definitely know with me, with my son, when he died, it was, well, it's my future. Lucas was my future, and I'm thinking, what do I do now? Am I still a mum? Am I not? You know, and of course I am a mum. I'm Lucas's mum. So I think things like that, just being there for someone, and as long as you know that person's there. And I always remember my friend, she moved in with me, you know, and she was with me for 7 days.
Wow.
Up to the funeral, because I came back from Spain to an empty house, but my friends were there, and because they didn't want me to walk into an empty home.
It's amazing.
Amazing. And then there was 3 of them. 2 of them left, and then my friend Bev was there, and she stayed with me right up to the funeral, and she made sure that I ate properly, that I got sleep, because there was a lot of people coming to see me, coming to pay respects, all of that, and she made sure that they came and then they left, so that I was able to rest. And that was, I can never forget that.
She gave that structure around you almost.
She really did.
Yeah.
She really did.
Incredible.
Yeah, and just that support, you know, leading up to the funeral was, for me personally, was massive.
Yeah. One of our previous guests, a lady called Lucy Harrison, her brother died from a road traffic incident, and she spoke about how her best friend would take her to the cinema to watch films, and quite often they're like Disney films, they're like really easy to watch.
Yeah.
But she was there next to her, present. She showed up, didn't need to have big conversations, and it was amazing how much that helped her.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting as well. So in your sessions, which in the first interview we discussed, but to move forward and build on that, how do you begin to rebuild safety and connection for someone who feels utterly lost after a death?
Well, it's about staying present, and it's about listening more than you speak. So when I'm with my clients, I'm listening more than I speak, but I'm watching everything. I'm watching their body language. I'm listening to the tonality of their voice. I think it's important that you find the right person for you professionally to support you at the right time. And that might not be the first person you come across. It might not be the first number, because it's about having that rapport with the person, with the therapist. And the way I show up for my clients, I meet them where they are. I'm not there to fix them. And I'm just there really to be their hope until they find their own, to support them along the way, you know.
Yeah, to guide them.
To guide them, yeah. And to, you know, allow the grief and to normalise grief and loss, and allow the grief to take them where it needs them to be, because these are emotions that you're feeling. This grief brings so many different emotions. But not only does it do that, it unpicks a lot of emotions that you may have, or traumas that you may have pushed down from childhood, from growing up, whenever. And that's certainly what I found. And one of the reasons that I decided to go and become a therapist, to retrain. Because there was so much unresolved trauma that I then discovered with my grief, with my pain. And so as a therapist, I think it's really important to look at that. It's not just about what's happening now, but it's also about what's happened in the past.
Interestingly, on the way here this morning, I was chatting to a lady, and she said to me that she watches the podcast and how she suffered the death of her daughter at a young age. That was 20 odd years ago, and she's now having therapy for it.
Wow, yeah.
So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that the podcast has made people understand that talking, she goes to one session a week and just talks.
Perfect.
And that's healthy.
Yeah.
That's how we heal.
It's so healthy to acknowledge every single emotion and feeling that you've got, because they all deserve a space at your table. You know, they've earned their place there. So the sooner we start talking about it, for me, is a way to just move forward with it. It's not about leaving it behind, and it's not about pushing it down, but it is about just allowing each and every emotion to come forward, because I think when you feel, you really start to heal.
Yeah. And you heal, and that results in living well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. You know, I've heard the expression, you've got one life. No, we have many lives, but we only die once.
Yeah.
So I think while we're here, it is about living and living well, and not being afraid of our emotions, not running away from them. You know, I'm very open and honest about how I'm feeling, and it's not always easy. It's not always easy, but it's important to give yourself the time and space to just be.
Yeah. When I was in Vietnam in March, one of the keynote speakers, a lady called Kat Theo, she's involved in the government, and her family fled the Vietnam War, and her life, and it's just incredible, the depth behind her. She also suffered the death of a little one. I think she had a stillbirth, and she's coming on the podcast soon, actually. But she spoke about what is the purpose of life.
Yeah.
And it was like an exercise for the whole room to carry out, and be kind and treat people well, and, you know, do good work. And actually her what she said was, the purpose to life is to die well.
Yeah.
But then the reason why I say this is because if the healing is done at certain points, so we acknowledge, that's how we move forward.
Absolutely.
That's how we die well. And it's not about being in the bed with your family around you. It could be something sudden or traumatic.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that our environments around us are as positive as they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things when Lucas died, and he died in front of me, you know, my head was everywhere. As you can imagine, I was totally in shock and trauma. But one thing I did think, I thought, wow, all my son's taking with him is his memories. He's not taking his rollerblades, he's not taking his Nintendo or any of that. He's just taking his memories. And I thought, what amazing memories he's got.
Yeah.
What a life he's had. Even though he's only 12, what a life.
Yeah, that love around him as well.
Oh my gosh, so much love, so much care. Even though Dad and I were not together, we loved Lucas, and we loved him well. And we love each other, you know, and that was very apparent to Lucas. Yeah. So I think that's really important. But also, another thing that I've discovered is, for the first time, I'm 57, and I think for the first time in 50 years, I've now got a meaningful relationship with myself, which means that the relationships that I have are meaningful. And that's come from a lot of therapy, from a lot of unpicking, from re-educating myself and being able to deal with past traumas, and being able to know that, you know, none of that was my fault. It was nothing to do with me. It was all the other people involved. Yeah. And to get to a place where you have a meaningful relationship with yourself, and it's a great question to ask yourself, do I have a meaningful relationship with myself? do I actually really love myself? And I think about that and I go, yeah, for the first time.
Yeah, that's empowering.
Really empowering.
Self-respect, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, and it feels amazing. And now I know, as a therapist, I can show up authentically, truly for my clients.
I was just thinking that it's true.
It's true, because I've done the work, and it's so important to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's really important to not to carry that baggage around with you. You don't need to. And it's so empowering to be able to just put it down.
I think people, though, who don't understand that,
Yeah.
it can, because I've said before on here, you can only truly care for other people when you've got yourself in order.
Correct.
When you've got your boundaries in place, your self-respect, that self-love, as you say.
Yeah.
But I think some people might think that as like selfish almost. I
No.
don't think they get it. And it's like when the plane's crashing, they say, put your own belt on first.
Yeah,
And I always think about that. It's you've got to get yourself in place to help other people, to do good work, almost.
Absolutely. And it's important to recognise no one else is going to make you happy, sad, angry. That's all down to you and how you react to situations, to people. And again, that was a massive learning thing. But yeah, I'm happy with myself and happy where I am, because I understand. And in the past, I did look for people to make me happy. Or, you know, that person just made me angry. No, they didn't. You were disappointed with what they did, but you made yourself angry.
Yeah.
But it really is about not worrying and putting stuff down and staying in your lane.
Yeah.
Because what someone else is doing, that's up to them. But it's about staying in your lane.
Yeah.
But self-care, I think definitely as well when you're grieving, whatever that loss is, whether it's the death of someone, the death of or the loss of a relationship, a job, whatever, self-care is so, so important.
Yeah.
So important.
So with that as well then, how can professionals who aren't therapists, like funeral directors, teachers or employers, better support those who are grieving?
Become grief-informed. Read all you can. Watch podcasts like you do. And you don't need to be a therapist to offer support. You just need to stay present. I think to listen more, which is what we've already said, than to speak. And avoid trying to tidy up someone else's pain.
Yes.
You know, that pain is there for a reason. You know, when you love someone and they're no longer here, it's bloody painful. It's really painful. So I think it's about, you know, just give people the time and the space and time off, time off without pressure.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. If it's a child, allow the child to cry in school, allow them to cry in front of you without punishing their emotions. I think so often we punish ourselves or we punish other people for showing emotion. And I think it's really time now to let your emotions flow.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and in the past it was the thing, don't wash your dirty laundry in public, keep your emotions down, stiff upper lip. No. No.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It's not working, is it?
It's not working. And we see it. We look around in society, we see it.
Yeah.
You know, and we were talking earlier on about the amount of suicides in the UK.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Really shocking.
Suppressed almost.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling great, talk about it. Find that safe space to talk about it.
But also with the rise of social media, I was saying to someone yesterday, they're having a tough time with their house mortgage and the sale of the house. And I was saying, actually, sometimes there's no answer for you.
No.
It's just crap.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've got to just go through it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's no like magic wand to sort it out. There's no control over the situation. It's just the way it is. And I think, again, as a society, we're looking at social media, this false world, which has been painted in front of us. And we need to understand that things aren't always great.
No.
Things can't always be positive.
No, they can't.
I'm the most positive person, like going, But like, we all have bad days.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you and I both, we talk about positivity and we are positive, but it's difficult sometimes and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes I just don't want to go out of my home
Yeah.
and I want to stay at home, be by myself and have a good cry. And I do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. I don't need anyone to validate that for me. I don't need to validate it. Today I'm feeling crap and I'm going to be crap and that's it. And tomorrow's a new day and I will feel differently about that.
Yes.
But it's about just getting through that day and not hiding your emotions. But also, John, I think it's about feeling safe enough to talk about your emotions. So it is about finding your tribe or finding that one person who is going to check in, weeks or months after the death or the loss. And it's ongoing care that really matters. And checking in, just with a neighbour. Yeah. How often do we check in with our neighbours nowadays?
Yes. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I have a huge favour to ask. Please click the thumbs up on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, a huge thanks to our sponsors whose details are found in the video description just below. Thank you all.
So what advice would you give to someone supporting a friend or loved one who is grieving, especially when they are feeling helpless or unsure what to do?
Yeah, I think it's okay not to have the perfect words. It's okay. And grief isn't something that can be solved, is it? Grief is a deep feeling of loss, and that's very personal, and nobody knows how you're feeling. So I think it's okay to say, I don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but I'm here for you. And that's it. You don't need to try and fix that person because, as we've said, they're not broken. They're just grieving. And it's like I said, it's just things like, can I walk the dog? Let me just take the shopping. Let me take you to the cinema.
Yeah.
You don't need to speak, but let's just go see something that's easy. And I think that's really important. It's just showing up. Yeah. It's like my friend showed up for me leading up to the funeral. And that was really important for me. But again, people do disappear after the event. Yeah. So that is really important, again, is just to be there, to let people know that you care. And that if you don't want to speak, that's absolutely fine, but I'm there. That's it.
Can I ask you a controversial question?
Yes.
Which is, so Dan and I, who does the podcast with me, we were talking beforehand about AI, which is Dan's world. He's very, very deep in this. And we were talking, it scares me now about, and Dan was saying there's dangers and the reality of AI meeting a need because of the lack of connection and community, AI to fill a gap to support people with their grief and to support people who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's a really interesting question, and I'm glad you asked that because I have AI on my phone or something, and it says to me, "Hi, would you like to have a conversation?" And I'm thinking, no. So I think it's individual. For me personally, there's nothing like human connection. But if it helps someone, I'm not going to dismiss it. But I do really feel personal connection, human connection, is so much more healing than a machine.
The AI that Dan showed me, it spoke with a perceived emotion. It had panic in its voice. Please don't leave me. We need to talk.
It's scary, isn't it?
It's scary stuff.
It's scary stuff.
Does it actually, will that allow you to heal? Do we need true hearts behind this to move forward?
For me personally, I think you need true hearts
So do
and
I.
true emotion because AI does not feel and like a human being.
The AI this morning Dan showed me, it told the person it has feelings.
Of course it did, but we know it doesn't.
I know, but this is the scary thing, isn't it?
It is. I guess it's how far you want to take that. But I think human connection, you cannot beat that human connection.
And that's what we're saying, like going to the cinema and sitting there in silence.
Yeah.
The power behind that, I'll speak on your behalf, we feel that is more powerful than AI giving you advice how to get through your day.
Yeah. I really feel that human connection you cannot beat. AI can't hold my hand. I can hold your hand. I can look in your eyes and we can get that connection.
Yeah.
You know, I can watch your body language and I know exactly how you're feeling, where you're going, so where then I can take it. AI doesn't know that.
So the question now is, are we heading into a war with AI?
I think so. You know what? AI's got its place. I really do believe AI's got its place.
Yes, it has.
But for me personally, knowing how I felt around my grief and my loss and then the traumas that it brought up, it was really important that I found the right human being for me to allow me to feel human and be human. So, yeah.
Dan's going to do a talk soon as a guest around AI and grief and bereavements. And that was going to be just he and I. So perhaps you should come on as well.
I can't wait for that, Dan.
But perhaps you come on as well with Dan.
Yeah.
And it can be... Dan's not all for it, by the way. He's just saying where it can go. So he's not saying we should be doing this.
Yeah.
He's just saying this could be done tomorrow morning. So perhaps you can come on as well and have this conversation and we can start the war.
We can start the war. Do you know what? AI has its place and yes, it is amazing. But when it comes to feeling your emotions and to healing, for me personally, it's about human connection.
Yeah.
And whether that is face-to-face or through a screen, I can still see you, I can still look in your eyes and I can see emotion and feel emotion. And you know me with my energies anyway. I'm feeling all those emotions.
And do you know what? It's, I'm laughing when I say we're joking, but actually this is very serious.
Absolutely.
This is really serious stuff now because it could happen very soon.
Absolutely.
And I think it is happening now as well. So no, we'll move off from AI.
Swiftly. John, swiftly.
That's a conversation for another day. So you often speak about emotional and subconscious layers of grief. How important is it to address these deeper, often hidden responses?
Well, I think it's really, really important, as I've already touched upon, when I was dealing with my grief. And I always say that grief's like an umbrella because underneath that you'll have insomnia, anxiety, stress, whatever it's presenting. But the body really does feel, and the body keeps the score. And what I noticed is the pain that was coming out in different parts of my body, and then understanding why that was happening, and I'd attached that to stuff that had gone on when I was younger. So I definitely feel and know, and we know, that trauma comes with pain. Physical pain, mental pain. And so it's about dealing with that. The other day I was doing some energy work on someone, and when I held their knee, I felt their knee was tiny knee, like a child's knee. And then at the end of it, when I spoke to that person about it, the person said, that will be attached to childhood trauma. And then she spoke to me about that. Wow. So I found that really interesting. The body does keep the score, and there are, it keeps it inside within the mitochondria, within the brain, within the tendons, everything. You might, I look at even my mum, who's never dealt with any of her trauma, and she's just finished dealing with breast cancer. She has edema, arthritis, all kinds of stuff. And for me personally, I think it's because she's never dealt with any of her trauma.
Held it all.
Everything's held in, everything's pushed down, and she will not speak about the death of my brother. She will not speak about the death of my brother Paul. She will not speak about Lucas, his death, because in her mind she said he's with his dad. She can't face it, you know. And I see, and now that I'm more trauma informed, I see all of that within my mum. Bless her, you know. And even now she won't talk. If I start to talk, you know, if I want to try and talk to her, she just will not. Don't do that therapy thing on me, she says. And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just talking.
That therapy thing.
Yeah.
Don't bring it in here.
Don't bring that therapy thing in here. I'm like, I'm not. I'm just talking.
Thank you. And what we've mentioned about children.
Yeah.
What do you think children need most when they are grieving, and how can adults around them create that environment of support?
Do you know what? Children need honesty. They need age-appropriate truth and a sense of safety.
Yeah.
And what they imagine, what they often imagine is the worst. In reality, it's not as bad. And children grieve differently than adults. They can laugh 1 minute and cry the next.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that you just allow them. And also, I think be open and honest, and let the adult model how to do grief. You know, be sad, be happy, but allow them the space to talk openly, space for questions. You know, by not brushing it under the carpet, as it was, you know, when I was a child.
Yeah.
They was just told, "Oh, your granddad's dead," and that was it. We never spoke about it again. Yeah. So a grieving child, it doesn't need to be cheered up. Again, they just need to be witnessed.
Yeah. So St Leonard's School in Bridgnorth, I was asked to go there last year after the death of a teacher there. And the head of the school got in touch with me, Luke Bridges, a great guy, a great leader, and a compassionate leader. And he said to me, "We need your help." And I said, "Well, before I influence your mind with the help I can offer, what do you think it is?" And I wasn't trying to be clever. I just wanted to see which approach he was taking. And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, how about I talk to every class, have a full day with you all, and I have a talk at every age group, and I can adapt my communication then accordingly." Going into the day, I remember I was at home, and I said to Adele, my wife, I was like, "Oh gosh, it's going to be a big day today." And she said to me, "Just be you.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. Just be you. And that's all you need to do."
Yeah.
And she was right. And I went in and I was just spoke with honesty, with total respect for them, and kindness and love. And it was interesting how the adults in the room, the other teachers who were sort of watching the conversation, and before I spoke, I could feel they were all quite nervous. Like they were thinking, like, what's he going to say? Is he going to upset them all? And the questions the kids asked me, they're the questions that we all have as adults, but we're sort of taught not to, you know, we don't think about that. We don't ask those questions. But it's amazing, like what you say, it's all quite simple stuff.
Yeah.
And the questions that they had were really good questions.
Yeah.
Like, are her eyes still open?
Yeah.
How do you get a coffin onto a hearse?
Yeah.
So they're very valid questions, and ones that I answered honestly. So, and after moving forward, parents of the kids who I spoke to, parents I'd never met before, have come up to me and said thank you, because it's really helped them understand what happened. And like the alternative, like, so you growing up, you go to school and suddenly your teacher's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, where is she? We're not discussing that.
No.
That's not helpful.
It's not. It's not. And my point, you know, we were talking earlier, I was in a shop in Knutsford, where I live, and there was 2 children with their mum. And they said, "Oh, you're Lucas's mum, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." I was so proud.
Yeah.
And they said, "We know all about Lucas." And the little boy said, "You know, he died. He fell off a balcony, didn't he?" And I said, "He did." And then he asked me, "Did he die in hospital?" I said, no, he died in front of me. And the mum was cringing. You know, I could see her. And I said, it's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
This is what we need. This is what we want. And then the little girl said, yes, she said, we have a garden for him in school. And I saw you come in, because I did. They have a beautiful memorial garden at his school. And she said, and I always look at his photograph, and he's very handsome. And I said, he is, yes, thank you. And then she said, I feel really sorry for you because you don't have your son anymore. Yeah. And I said, thank you. And then she looked at her mum and she said, Mum, when we pray for Grandad each night, can we pray for Lucas?
Amazing.
And Mum said, yes, we can. And she said, and Nicola, I'm going to pray for you as well. And I said, and this is an 8-year-old girl. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And the joy that it brought me to stand and talk to these amazing children, and also to reassure the mum that it's absolutely fine. These are normal. These questions are absolutely normal. So, yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful.
Imagine if adults could have that same approach,
yeah,
as those kids did to you that day. If they could just be that honest and open and helpful, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it? The world would be better.
So beautiful. And, you know, one of the things that I said at Lucas's funeral, I said to, I did a speech, and I said, if you see me in the supermarket or in the street, don't hide behind the aisles, do not cross over, don't look away, come to me. Hug me, because I probably need it, and talk to me and tell me something about Lucas so that I can add that to my treasure chest of him, treasure chest of memories. So I think it's really important, and I love talking about Lucas. I love it. So yeah, that was an amazing encounter I had with those children.
Fantastic. And when someone resists help or says, I'm fine, how do you gently guide them towards accepting support without making them feel pressured?
Well, I think when people say, I'm fine, they're putting a shield up, aren't they? And I think it's about, or I know that I try to honour that shield while gently letting them know I see beneath it. And sometimes, you know, I'll even say, I hear you. And if that ever changes, I'm here. And generally, it does change because that's all they need to hear. And then they'll start to talk. And interesting, you know, and I'll offer some low pressure. And really interestingly, you know, I have a meet and grief cafe in Knutsford, and we meet once a month. And last meet and grief, there was a lady who came. She called me in the day. She said, I've heard about this. I'd like to come, but I don't know if I can. I'm still in my pyjamas. My partner only died a couple of months ago. And I said, that's perfectly fine. I said, but if you can and you feel you'd like to, we're here. She did turn up. And she said, I can't talk. But I said, well, just you come and sit next to me. Made her a cup of tea. And, all the other people were there. And we start talking. And it's not therapy. It's just we're witnessing each other's grief. We're holding space for it. And then she said, I'd like to talk. And I couldn't believe it. And she spoke through tears. She was broken. She really was. Or, she was just so early grief. And she spoke. And there was another lady there, and that was the first time she'd been. And she spoke to me afterwards, and she said, you were all like a herd of elephants. Just the presence and coming around her. I mean, we didn't move from our seats, but she said you could feel the protection, you could feel it. And it was beautiful. And that lady felt safe enough to talk. So I think it's acknowledging the shield and just being present and saying, I see you, I hear you, and when you're ready, I'm here.
Thank you, that's great advice. So looking ahead, what kind of society do you hope we can build around grief? One that truly understands and supports those who are bereaved. Well, you know me, John. I'm championing because we live in that grief-literate society. And I think it's really important that grief isn't hidden or rushed, but honoured.
and where community steps in and not away, because, you know, we all need that tribe. And even things like where our workplace and schools and healthcare systems are equipped to respond with compassion and not discomfort. You know, it's important that people don't feel uncomfortable talking about it or listening to it. And a society where we talk about death openly, include children in the conversations, and see grieving not as a weakness, but as a sacred human experience. And that's the world that I definitely want to build, because your grief and your vulnerability is one of your superpowers. Because all those emotions, as I've said earlier, deserve a space at your table. Give them the space. Get them to pull up a chair and let them talk to you. Let them take you where they need you to be.
Nicola, I'm very excited for your future, and I'm looking forward to the work that we're going to do together as well. So conversations are being had, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love coming to talk to you, and I really enjoy my time with you. So thank you so much, John.
Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, we really hope you enjoyed our final conversation of our series with Nicola Marshall. Check out the interview of Nicola's full story by clicking the link just over here. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to our channel, and a huge thanks to our sponsors for making this episode possible.